Good morning, everybody. Oh, it is really cold outside right now. Okay, so my first night sleeping in my car, it was really cold. I checked, it was like 6 degrees below zero last night. I did have to turn my engine on, which I don't like doing because that increases the wear and tear on the car. The thing that causes your engine to fail the most often is thermal cycling. That's where you go from cold to hot to cold to hot to cold to hot. And that expansion and contraction causes your engine to wear down. So I don't like doing that when it's really cold outside, but I had to do that last night because it was cold. I think I need to get a really big blanket or something like a comforter because this sleeping bag by itself was not cutting it. Now we're gonna let that warm up real quick. Okay, but we have spent one night here in the car, which means that takes about $40 off the total cost of this car. I spent $2,000 on the car itself. I spent another maybe $1,400 on all of the modifications we're gonna do. So in general, you could say that I spent about $4,000 on this car. But I'm able to reduce that by actually sleeping in it and living in it, because that means I'm not paying rent and I'm not staying in hotel rooms. I actually calculated this. If I wanted to get an apartment in a big city, it would cost about like $1,200 a month, which is like $40 a day. So every day that I stay here, I'm not spending $40 a day on rent. It'll take me about 3 months of sleeping in this car for it to pay off itself in saved rent. Here's a breakdown of everything that I've actually spent on the car so far. I spent $2,000 on the car itself. I spent $120 on AAA. I spent $260 on insurance. I spent $200 registering this for sales tax. I spent $1,400 on all of the stuff that's still in the mail. It'll get here later. I actually can't think of everything right now, so this is just the final number of everything I've spent so far, right here. I'm just sitting here letting the engine warm up before we go get breakfast. Basically, I'm gonna sit here until my feet are warm. One of the things that I forgot about living in your car is how you have to scrunch up. Like, my head touches this, but then I need to have my legs like bent inward, so you can't ever like lay flat. I forgot about that. It is so toasty in here now. I'm so glad the heater works. Let's go ahead and get some food. Wait, unlock the doors. I had a car that did not have a proper, or had a clogged heater core one time, so heat would not actually get into the cabin. It was so cold during the winter. Thank you very much. These burritos are fantastic. The only downside is they're really expensive. I think this was like $9.50 for both of these two. If I lived closer to a McDonald's, or I guess if my brother lived closer to a McDonald's, we would be getting chicken McGriddles, but we get breakfast burritos instead. This is sausage queso. Basically, it's got some sausage and some cheese and some eggs. Fucking love this one. This is my favorite type. Okay, what we're gonna do now is just wait. We've got some equipment being delivered to help us fix our car, and we need to wait for it to get here. It's actually starting to snow. Rip. Okay, here we go. We have 2 packages. First package is big and heavy. Oh, it's very big. The second package should be lighter. Yes. First, we're gonna go ahead and crack open the big package, because that's the interesting thing here. I don't have a knife. My brother has a shovel though, so that'll work. I spent $750 on this. Here we go. This is the battery pack that's gonna power all of the auxiliary power in my car. This is gonna run the heaters, potentially a microwave, heated blankets, power my laptop, all of that sort of stuff. $750 on this guy right here. Now you might be asking yourself, why in the world would anybody spend $750 on a battery pack when you can go to Walmart and get a lead acid battery for like $100? And it all comes down to chemistry, the chemical composition of this battery right here. Okay, so this is gonna get a little bit complicated, but if you go to Walmart and you get one of those deep marine cycle lead acid batteries, the problem that you'll encounter is that when you go from 100% to 0, because you use the entire battery, and you try to charge it up again, you'll notice you only get like 95% of the capacity back. And then you use it again, you charge it up, you get 90%, and then 85, and then 80. They degrade really quickly when you go from 100% to 0. They degrade really, really quickly. If you want to fix that, what you're supposed to do is you're only supposed to use like 20% of the battery. You go from 100 to 80, and then you charge it up, and then 80, and then charge it up. To where you're actually only buying 20% of the battery, even though you're paying for 100% of the chemicals in there. If you spend $100 on a battery, you're only getting $20 worth of actual capacity. The solution to this problem is lithium. Lithium, you can go from 100% to 0% and back up to 100% without degrading the battery. That's the same kind of stuff that you have in your cell phone. I can't get it out of my pocket right now. The problem with lithium ion and lithium polymer batteries is that they also degrade over time. You'll probably notice that your phone, after like a year or two, you'll only get 80% of the capacity. So the battery that I purchased over there for $750 is something called lithium iron phosphate. I'm able to take that from 100% to 0 back up like 4,000 times. That will last me more than 2 decades without it degrading. Once this red car breaks down, I'll be able to move the battery from this into the new car. And then once that car breaks down, I'll move the battery into the new car. I'll be able to do that for like 4 or 5 times. I will be an old man before this battery is degraded. All of this sounds fantastic. It sounds like it's got all of these amazing perks. So why don't you see this in things like electric cars or in your cell phone? If this lasts for decades, why aren't cell phone batteries made out of this? And the problem is size and weight. This is like 3 times as big and 3 times as heavy as a lithium ion battery. So if you want this in your phone would be super thick. If you want this in an electric car, your electric car would have 3 times the weight. This is not practical for things that need to move around, but it's great for things like auxiliary batteries. And another small perk is that there's not an orientation. You can put it sideways, you can put it upside down. With lead acid batteries, you've kind of got to keep them tilted straight up. This battery is about 2 times as big as my bike battery from when I was in Europe, but I would say it's about 5 times as heavy. Okay, then we're just gonna sit this in the trunk right here, like that. I haven't actually decided where I want this to go in the trunk yet. I didn't know how big this would actually be. I just saw pictures of it. Something like that seems pretty reasonable. And then I find a way to like mount it. Let's go open the other package because that's got heating elements to keep the car warm with the electricity. You guys might have noticed that I'm having things delivered here. This is my brother's apartment. The reason that I'm not actually in there staying with them is because my brother brought home fleas. He's got a dog and it is my leg. I stayed there for one night when we were driving over here and my legs are fucking covered. So we're just gonna stay away from that. Fucking hate fleas. Okay. Let's go put some heat seaters in the back right here. I want all of these to be warm at night. It is kind of dark in here because all of my windows are tinted. So we're gonna come through here, gonna roll this window down. It's gonna be cold, but it's worth it. Okay, let's go open package number 2. Here we go. See these? This is what's gonna keep us warm at night. I got 4 of them. I also got another key fob so I can remotely open my car and my trunk and stuff. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Right now, let me show you guys how heated seats actually work. So what this is basically a piece of fabric with some wire running through it. It looks like a chicken fence. When you run electricity through this, this gets hot. You're supposed to put this underneath your seat, and then that's the thing that makes the heated seat work. You've got a switch right here to where you can turn it off, on, medium, high, and then you plug that. Oh, I guess it's got a fuse. Oh, yes, and then you've got the red and black wires right here. We're just gonna go connect this to the battery and see how hot things get. This is not permanent. We're not doing this. I'm not permanently setting these in. This is just testing it and making sure that I can stay warm tonight. I've got a bunch more equipment coming that is going to, we're actually gonna set the whole electrical system up. We're gonna run wires through here. We're gonna set lights up. But right now we're just doing this so I can stay warm tonight. So I believe the first thing we need to do to get that installed is we just need to take the seat up. I'm pretty sure it comes off pretty easily. You just pull it, yeah. Okay. God, there's more trash in here. Motherfucker. Okay, and then we're gonna peel this up and then we're going to stick the heating element on the back side of the fabric. The fabric is held in place with these little metal ring clips. They're pretty easy to undo. You just take a pair of pliers in there and yeah, bend them out. Yeah, see? Just like that. Now that we've got a lot of this removed, we should be able to pull the fabric back a little bit and expose the foam. Now that we have access to the underside of the fabric, we're gonna slide the coil in right underneath here like that. And then it's got this adhesive strip on the back, you can see right here. We're gonna peel this back and that should act like a glue to keep it there basically until we're done with it. Until we're ready to rip this seat out and put it with leather seats. Boom, one seat heater has been successfully installed. Now we're gonna stick one right here. That way the whole body, when I'm laying down, should be warm. Basically, most of my day was spent today just waiting for this stuff to arrive. One small problem that I've noticed is that to keep the pad where I want the pad to be, where it's right here with my feet, the cable is not long enough to actually reach down underneath the seat. So I think we're gonna cut a hole in the seat and feed the wire down underneath The whole thing is literally just foam though, so it's super easy. I'm just gonna puncture a hole right here with my pliers. And then we'll feed this down through the bottom. Actually, I like this idea. I think I'm gonna do the same thing on this side because I don't really want cables wrapped around the foam like that. If I can feed them through the bottom, that's much easier for me. And then we're gonna have the connectors underneath the carpet right here, feeding all of the wires through. I feel bad for all the people that started watching me because I thought I was riding a bike. Haha, no. Now we're cutting holes in foam. Okay, that wire is fed through. I think that we can put the fabric back on the foam now. And then all we've got to do is clamp it back with those C-clamps. I'm not even sure if we need to do that. Yeah, I guess we should so that it'll keep it nice and taut. We just need to put the fabric back inside the C-clamps and then clamp them back down. So I'm kind of cheating. I'm not installing all of the individual clamps. I'm just installing enough of them to be able to hold the fabric in place. So this is actually fine. Before I actually put this back in though, I want to cut out these seat belts. There's never going to be a situation where I have a passenger in here when I'm driving, and when I'm lying down, these things, they're lumpy and they make it hard to sleep on. So we're going to cut these off with a knife. Technically, I could just unbolt these. There's a bolt here, but because they're seat belts, they're on really tight. It's easier to just cut. There we go, got both of them off. Now we will go ahead and reinstall the seats. If I can get over here. There's not a lot of space in this car to do like work. And then they just click in with the latch, you should hear it. Yep, there we go. Wait. Come on. Now you should see we have our connector right here for the front, and we have our connector right here for the back. Let's go plug them into the battery and make sure this whole thing works. I want to super emphasize, this is not the final solution. We're not going to be running wires from the battery through the trunk like this. When we are doing this for real, we're going to run the wires underneath the carpet through here. You won't be able to see them. This is literally just for testing. The red wire goes to the red side and the black wire goes to the black side. And I do want to point out, when you're doing this for real, you should use a fuse to make sure that nothing bad happens and like a short circuit doesn't happen, lighting things on fire. We're not going to do that right now because we're just testing this. My fuses have actually not even arrived yet. They're still in the mail, so I couldn't put a fuse in here if I wanted to. Now, looking at the switch, we have 3 levels. Off, where there's no light. Down, I think, is low heat, and then up is high heat. So red, green, and blue, or red, green, and off. I have not actually plugged it into the heater yet, so let's go test that. The connector just clicks into place like this. Let's do low heat because I'm worried. I'm not sure how long it'll take to heat up. The battery here in the back, it actually has a Bluetooth chip in it to where I can do all of the monitoring that I need here from my app. We can see that it shipped to us with 51% charge. It's currently using about 10 watts. I imagined it would be used more. Let's turn this up to high and see what happens. So we're currently using 10 watts. Let's flip this up to high. Oh, now we're using 40. Okay, so there's a huge difference between low heat and high heat. I can definitely feel the heat, and it's not too hot. I was worried that this would get like too hot and I'd be worried about like fire hazards. No, this is warm, but it's not like blazing hot, and it is only taking 40 watts. So that's basically the same kind of power output you would get from a heated blanket that you plug into your cigarette port. I was honestly really worried that this wouldn't be safe and that these things would draw just a crazy amount of power, but they don't. So I'm satisfied. Let's plug it into the other one, just make sure that the other one works. Okay, high heat, good. Now let's see how long that one takes to heat up. So one downside of this system is I don't actually have a way to charge this battery up. Once it's depleted because the battery charger is still being shipped and I'm not sure when it's gonna get here. So I might have one night of heated seats, maybe 2 nights. I also need to wire these up so I can have both of them running at the same time because right now I only have the one wire going to the battery. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna take the other wire that came with this and we're gonna route both of them underneath the seat, just because if I'm laying on this, I don't wanna accidentally be rolling on the wires and end up unplugging them, or again, this is not permanent. I really wanna stress, this is super temporary. Okay, so this goes underneath the seat. You go underneath the seat. That. The bottom of my foam is wet, and I'm not sure why. I think it might be condensation because it's cold outside and I'm breathing in here, but I think that that's a way to get mold, and I don't like that. That's concerning. Okay, there we go. I've got them both wired up now. You can see we've got 2 red wires and 2 black wires. And just one more time for the people in the back who might not have heard, this is not permanent. We've got our 2 controllers right here. So we'll turn that one on high. We'll come through here. We will turn that one on high. Now both of them should get nice and toasty. Let's test it. Okay, looking at my app, we are drawing 70 watts. So it definitely is putting power into them, both of them. This is double the power that one of them took. Okay, so let's do some math. The battery that I put in the trunk has 2,500 watt hours. These heated seats take 70. So what is 2,500 divided by 70? That's like 35 hours. So I can run these heated seats for 35 hours if that battery is full. But that battery is not full, it's only got 50%. So let's divide that by 2. 17 hours. I can run these heated seats for 17 hours. Let's assume I sleep for 8 hours a night. That means 2 days. I can keep my car warm for 2 days before the battery is dead. Oh my God, this is so nice. Oh, my feet are warm. I'm gonna turn them off for now though, because again, I don't have a way to charge this battery. So we can save all the energy that we can. They came with a bunch of zip ties too. Let's go ahead and clean everything up because we don't want our car becoming messy. I also had a new key fob shipped to me. I'll show you guys how to pair that with my car later. Okay, that's gonna be it for today. I will let you guys know tomorrow how well that works.
Controlled construction